Thor: Love and Thunder is set to drastically overhaul the current landscape of gods and pantheons that exist in the main MCU timeline as of right now, with the introduction of the Greek gods making their way into the fold, as well as the complete restructuring of New Asgard under Valkyrie's command set to take place in Love and Thunder. While there are set to be multiple new gods, a recent fan theory has surfaced that might explain the origins of an old god who hasn't been seen since 2017's Thor Ragnarok. Specifically, we are talking about the story of none other than the goddess of death, Hela, as we believe uncovered a bit more on the shrouded history and backstory with Odin, and specifically, we believe we may have actually found Hela's mother. So, stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and let's explore who exactly we believe Hela's mother to be in the MCU. While we will be looking to the original Norse myths for information and inspiration about this theory, we know that the MCU has deviated from the original interpretation of events on several occasions, and we don't believe that Hela's parentage is the same as it is in the comic iteration of the character. For instance, in the Norse texts, Hela is actually the daughter of none other than Loki, and seeing as that is not the case in the MCU, it therefore stands to reason that her parentage has not been carried over from the original myth of Hela. But that doesn't mean that Norse mythology doesn't still hold clues as to what the full story might be about Hela's mother. Therefore, we'll be using Norse myths to inform this theory, even though they are not necessarily accurate to the original stories. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and begin. Our primary clue is rather obscure in nature, as Hela's power and specifically how it differs from that of Thor's, as we believe this holds a key to who exactly Hela's mother is. Throughout Thor Ragnarok, Hela is able to march through the legions of Asgardian warriors that face her, take the throne for herself, and continuously stand her ground against her brothers. While Hela is an incredibly dangerous warrior, what made Hela such a formidable and powerful enemy wasn't just her Asgardian heritage, but it was the fact that she could draw power directly from the realm of Asgard itself. In the movie, Valkyrie states that Hela's power comes from Asgard, same as Thor's. However, Thor's powers, even newly awakened, seem to pale in comparison to that of his older sister. Thor himself even states that the longer she is on Asgard, the more powerful Hela will become. It is then later decided that the only way to destroy Hela is to destroy Asgard itself and take away her source of strength, something that should, according to Valkyrie, also depower and potentially kill Thor, as well as if his strength truly comes from Asgard as she claims it does. This seems to paint a clear distinction between the two characters of Thor and Hela, in that Thor gets his power from Asgard while Hela is continually powered by Asgard. Thor is not at risk of being depowered because the transfer of power from Asgard to Thor is already complete, but Hela has a continuous connection with the realm eternal. So why is Hela able to continuously draw power from Asgard while someone like Thor, the son of the Allfather Odin, is not able to? And why does Hela grow more powerful when on Asgard and Thor seemingly remains the same? We believe that this is the primary clue to determine Hela's parentage, and the fact that while Thor and Hela were both fathered by Odin, we know that they did in fact have different mothers, and that Hela's mother is not Frigga. In the comics, Hela's mother is the giantess and renowned sorceress known as Angrboda, who also fathered the Midgard serpent and Fenris the wolf. While we believe that this original story informed Hela's parentage in the MCU, we do not believe that she shares the exact same story nor lineage. The simple reason for this is that in the comics, her father is none other, again, Loki, which very much does not seem to be the case in the MCU. So while her mother might still be Angrboda, it's likely that there is more to this story, and it's possible that she has a different mother in the MCU as well, which is what we believe. If it is not Angrboda, then we believe we have an idea as to who her true mother might just be. In Norse mythology, there is a goddess named Hord, who serves as a nature goddess and earthly deity, and in the original text of Norse mythology, it was Hord who was actually the mother of Thor, not Frigga as we see in the MCU. Hord was sometimes depicted similarly to Angrboda as a giantess, but more commonly, and much more importantly, as a frequent mistress of Odin, with whom he would meet discreetly on multiple occasions. She then eventually mothered Thor out of wedlock, and Thor was initially seen as the illegitimate son of the Allfather, which may actually hint at Odin's infidelity in the MCU, or perhaps even a previous relationship before marrying Frigga. If this story was twisted in the MCU, however, then Hela's mother might have been a goddess that draws her power from the land itself, informing the power development of Odin's eldest child, Hela. If Hela's mother was in essence an earth deity who could theoretically have immensely strong connection to the realm of Asgard, then she would have passed this onto her illegitimate daughter, Hela. This would feed her power and allow her to draw strength whenever she was in her mother's native domain, which in this case might be the entirety of the realm of Asgard. There is not only a precedent for this within Norse mythology itself as we mentioned, but it's a relatively common trope from across various different cultures, mythologies and religions that Odin might have fallen into in the MCU iteration of events. The concept of a sky god marrying an earth god can be found across Norse, Greek, and Egyptian mythologies, just to name a few of the most prominent, all of which have places in the MCU as of now. To find out that this is the case for the MCU and their iteration would not be too far-fetched to believe. Thor himself was part of this trope in the original Norse text, as he married Lady Sif, who was depicted very differently than her mainline MCU counterpart. Just to illustrate the differences, in the Norse myths, Sif had long locks of golden hair that made represent fields of wheat, and she was worshipped as a goddess of the harvest. Thor, quite similarly to his own on-screen iteration, was a thunder god who presided over the domain of the sky. If Odin had a previous relationship before Frigga, or perhaps even a reputation of infidelity that resulted in Hela's birth, then it could mean that there was far more to the Allfather's past than met the eye in the MCU. But anyway, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, what do you think of this story? And what do you think it means for the events of Thor Love and Thunder, if this is in fact Hela's mother, and if we found and solved this question? Do you think Hela's mother was an earth goddess? And if so, do you think her mother was Horde, or someone else? Do you think Horde might make an appearance in either Love and Thunder, or at some point in the future of the MCU? And what are your thoughts on this theory? And directly, why Hela draws her power from Asgard, when apparently Thor does not. As always, watchers, thank you so much for, well, watching the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.